All right. We are back live again from the allergy ridden state of Arizona, and hopefully things are going a little bit better for Brandon where he's from. But with that, you guys, we're going to forget all our worries and we're going to have a little fun talking about Star Wars for the next hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, depending on how things go. But with that, Brandon, Bailey, let's get into this. Okay, all right. Here we go again. I know I say this every week, you guys, but man, these episodes are going by so fast. We're on number 5, Rampage already. Can you guys believe that? It's just amazing. But anyway, we'll start off like we always do. Brandon, how are you doing today, sir? How are things going?
Doing great.
Okay. Quick question. I know you're in education. Is school out now? Are you a free man, or where are you at with that?
3 more days.
Tuesday, more
Wednesday,
days.
Thursday.
God bless you, brother. Well, we're pulling for you. Bailey, how are you doing, ma'am? It's good to see you.
I am doing well, knowing that school is over for me and that job is done for me. So off to greener pastures.
Well, all right. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. You know what? We're going to go ahead and hit up the comment section real quick and see who's joined us. And it's a little light today, but it doesn't mean that he's any less special. Off-world Adam, it is good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it.
Adam.
So you guys know me. I'm going to get right into it, but this time I'm going to remember what I'm supposed to be doing, Brandon. And as always, we talk about these episodes. We are going to go into some deep dives on some facts and some things that are revealed in the episode, and this will apply. I feel better. I always forget to use that, and people come in, they're like, "Are there spoilers?" I'm like, "Uh-oh, I screwed up." There's Gary Moore. Gary, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today, man. Always a pleasure. So, guys, like I said, we're going to get right into this, but we're going to start off with one of my favorite things to do, which is hit you guys with some comments that we got on the last episode. And our friend, John, over at Super Awesome Geek was messing around with us a little bit and then got into some serious. He said, "Y'all are nuts. That was a great episode. Echo didn't do anything. Echo was the episode." I thought that was kind of funny. He said, "But seriously, this is a prime example of what worries me going forward with streaming. If they'd come out as a 4 or 6 hour long uncut movie, the last few episodes would be the pause after the amazing action. There's always a lull, which is followed by a climax and then ending with an amazing action sequence. This entire story has been fleshed out ahead of time. So when we watch each episode as a standalone, some end up having no legs because they are meant to be seen as part of a whole and not a standalone entity. So some of these episodes are suffering from the break apart, the story syndrome that a lot of recent streaming shows have suffered upon. The only way to fix this is to give the whole story at once as an uninterrupted, long format." Bailey, I'm going to like to start with you on this. And what do you think of what John said there?
Oh, I totally agree with him. And I literally had a discussion with someone yesterday about this after the episode where I'm like, I'm starting to think that, some stories are just better as a movie than a show. Because I don't know, like when you look at Clone Wars, for example, that's an event that's like 3 years and there's a lot to cover. So it makes sense that becomes a show where something like the Bad Batch, since we've been having these kind of slowish episodes, I can't help but wonder if it was like, would it have been better if it was just like a 2.5 hour long movie? Because, like we said, it started really well. So I'm agreeing with him. I'm starting to think that maybe the Bad Batch could have been better as a movie. Some stories work better as movies than TV shows, and that's okay. It doesn't make them any less good. It's just, let's see, we're 5 episodes in, and it's like he said, like, yeah, sometimes you're going to have slow episodes, and that's going to be, after a lot of stuff happens, but we haven't really seen that with this show. It just makes me wonder if it would have been better as a movie, because you really can't have too much of a lull. You have to move things pretty quickly. So yeah, I would have to agree with him. I'm starting to think maybe this would have worked better as a movie.
Fair enough. Brandon, what are your thoughts on what John said?
It's hard because if we did get this as a movie and things were sped up too quickly, we would have wanted it to be fleshed out more. I feel like, if they condense it into, like a let's say a 2.5 hour thing, are we going to, we'd probably complain about the characters not being given enough time to develop. Sure. And the big thing for us is like, we understand that there's going to be a lull and there's going to be, you know, big things happening, and we get that there's, you know, ups and downs, but it's how they're handling the ups and the downs, and the way that they're filling the downs in. That first episode is really what has kept me excited about this. And, you know, I'm really wishing that we're going to see more of the Elite Squad troopers and Crosshairs, because the last 4 episodes have really been, or the last 3 episodes have really been side mission kind of stuff. And I know Chris 1000th Ghost said he might not be able to make it. It's his mom's birthday, but he sent out a tweet saying that he's starting to agree with us that it is very much side quest central.
Yeah, and starting to look a little bit like the Mandalorian reskinned, almost. We'll see. And I agree with you guys. I think it might have been good as a movie, Bailey. I think you're right, but Brandon also makes a good point, which I know you agree with. It's not so much that there's the lulls, and this is actually what I typed back to both John and Josh, who we're going to bring up here in a second. It's the tried and true. I've seen this 50 to 60 times before in my life, way they're handling the downtime. I know there's got to be some, but you know, let's make it a little bit more interesting. So let's see here. Linda, good to see you.
Hey, Linda.
Appreciate you dropping by. There's JT as always. JT, good to see you. Shane McNeil in here. That's a name we don't hear much. Am I right, or am I misremembering, guys? Anyway, it's good to have you, Shane. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. The next thing I have for you guys, and I think we're all in agreement on that one, is am I right? That it's not the fact that there is a law, it's kind of the way they're handling it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, one of our favorite people, Josh Anderson, who unfortunately schedule prevents him from being here much anymore, also weighed in this episode. And he says, great discussion, guys, but I have to disagree on this one. I really wish work wasn't interfering with my ability to watch. Anyway, I agree that on the surface, it seems that the show is stalling, but I think this is the calm before the storm. And much like Mandalorian, you guys seeing a theme here? We will look back on the episodes with a very different perspective later. I also feel this shows they have a lot of story to tell, and we'll get multiple seasons. I don't know about that either. But anyway, in order for that to happen, we need slower character and plot development. I liked it. 8 out of 10. He was the highest out of all the comments. Brandon, we'll start off with you this time. What do you think of that? What's Josh's take? How does that make you feel?
I see where he's coming from with the calm before the storm. And I understand that, we've talked about that this is going to be the lull, and then we're going to start seeing it pick up, and we're really hoping that it picks up. But it's not so much that there is this lull, it's what is happening during this lull. Mm-hmm. And that was the most negative I've ever been when talking about anything Star Wars. And it was honestly really hard. And let's just say this upcoming episode passed my second viewing test. I watched it and then I immediately replayed it. So I absolutely understand where people are saying that it needs to be slower for the character development. But, in the past couple episodes, have we really seen all that much? Especially that last episode, we didn't see much at all. Mm-hmm. It was Fennec. And if you want to say Omega getting lost and, action sequence is and I like John saying that Echo was the episode,
right?
Yeah, there were funny parts with it, but it just that's not how we want to see Echo be used, especially when there was a whole 2 episodes of the Bad Batch arc in season 7 about rescuing him, and people thought he was dead, and now they're going to rescue him, and now he's being sold.
Now dressed him up as a robot.
Yeah.
Sold him. Yeah.
And do I want a figure with the robot shield? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I want Echo with the other little droid pack? Yes.
Yeah. Bailey, what are your thoughts on what Josh said? I'm seeing a theme running through here.
It's funny because it's like all the stuff I was saying before the show even happened is starting to be picked up by other people. So I'm not so crazy after all, maybe.
Well, we can debate that.
But my only thing is, how many, okay, so I get that, I understand that sometimes we need a lull, but it's like Brandon said, like, how many episodes of that is too much? Like, do I really need to endure 4 episodes of nothing to get, to get pumped up for what's coming next?
Sure.
Because I just think that's just kind of overkill. Because then after a while, it's like, I don't know, because it'd be no different than me reading a book. I'd be like, how many times am I going to give this author an excuse? Like, why are you wasting my time on nothing, on things we've already seen before to get to what's coming next? Like, there is a way to go about a lull, but it's exactly what Brandon was saying. It's what's happening in these lulls that are the problem. I don't care about a story slowing down, but I'm tired of seeing pit stops and Scooby-Doo mysteries, and after a while, it's like, how many times am I going to give these people an excuse? So it's like, you need to, after a while, it's like, yeah, you know what? And it is hard, for us when we have to say something negative about, not enjoying something. It is hard. It's not like we're going out of our way to be like, oh, this sucks. It's just like, it's just our genuine, like, I feel like I'm waiting a little too long, and how much is too much, so I don't think having to wait, several episodes for something big to happen is like good, because then I'm going to start thinking, who was this show made for? Little kids who don't care about stuff like that, or people like us, which I would think that's the audience they would want to capture too, for the sake of merchandise and whatnot. So I get what he's saying, but at the same time, like, after a while, it's like, yeah, this is getting old really fast.
I wouldn't disagree with you. And really quick, Gilster, you haven't missed, that's Linda, excuse me, sorry about that. Gilster, you haven't missed a whole lot. It's always good to see you. And we have a little bit of a shock, someone showing up here. This is a friend of mine, Bailey. Yes, Doug, good to see you. I appreciate you dropping by, man. And just so you know, Echo is underrated because they're underrating him in this show so far.
Really bad.
And there's Left Coast. Finnick Shand is still a droid. Good to see you, Left Coast. I appreciate you dropping by.
Yep.
And then the last comment I wanted to touch on really fast here is just it's a touch and go, basically, as the airline pilots like to say. Matt reminds us of something. I'm going to concentrate on this second one down here. I'm kind of with Bailey on how these episodes are rolling out, and consequently Brandon. I'm enjoying it, but not blown away yet. That being said, my oldest son, who's 10 years old, enjoys it, and we watch it together, so that makes it completely worthwhile for me. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what Star Wars is all about. Am I right, guys? That family time. And I, on behalf of this group, I know we kind of stumbled last episode trying to get something out because we weren't happy with the episode, but under no circumstances would I ever say we just aren't enjoying getting new Star Wars content. And I don't want anybody to ever think that. Am I talking out of turn there, guys? Do you agree with me on that?
No, absolutely not. No, we're here for a reason. So we're not going out of our way to nitpick. These are just honest thoughts and opinions.
Absolutely. This is what do you call this? A review show, critical theory show. I don't know. So we have to, we have to sit here and pick out stuff that I think we don't like too. And I think you guys have been doing an excellent job, and it's showing out in the comments and in the comments that we're getting on the videos as well. So I'm just reading something real quick. Jonald, really quick, we hope you recover quickly. It's good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Don't rush it, though, brother. But anyway, as always, it's good to see you.
Yep.
And Left Coast makes a good point. Any Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. Am I right, guys?
Absolutely.
And the thing that I always say is, even if it's something that I wasn't looking for or something that I don't particularly enjoy, it's going to be somebody's favorite. It's going to be somebody's first Star Wars experience. So to me, as long as we're still getting new Star Wars stories, I really do not care. It makes me happy.
There you go.
So,
absolutely. And we're just being critical because this is a critique show. So speaking of critique show, Brandon, I don't know if it's because we came off a huge lull last week, or and it just lowered my expectations, or they did a much better job this time. But I came in front of the camera today with a greater sense of satisfaction. Why don't you tell me if I'm crazy or if you agree with me? And you're up, brother.
You are not crazy. And so waking up in the mornings on Fridays before I go to Fridays at a school the bad guy usually helps me, because I can wake up, watch it, and go, my day is starting off well. And last week I was grumpy when I went to school, and then school made me grumpier.
And then you came here grumpy. Yeah.
This week I woke up, I watched it, and then I watched it again, and I was really happy and exciting. School still sucked, but I started off the day happy. It was the car drive to my job was all good, and then when I walked into the school, it changed. But the good thing is Star Wars made that morning a little bit easier. And I will kind of say that these last two episodes, when you think about it, they weren't that much different from each other, but there were things in it that I enjoyed much more in this episode. Mm-hmm. There were callbacks to different things, and it might just be because I'm a really big fan of the Clone Wars and the original trilogy, where we had a couple callbacks and Easter eggs to things that really, really had me excited. And where this episode, I felt, did a good job. Last week didn't do such a great job, because the only thing that really got me excited about last week's episode was Fennec Shand. So there were other things in this episode that, made it much more enjoyable for me. So no, you're not crazy. And this will be at least about this. At least about this, right. I'm not crazy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I feel like this week we're going to have a much easier time talking about Star Wars.
Fair enough. Bailey, do you want to give us your quick overall impressions, and then I'll maybe get us a couple of scenes into it, and then I'll go back to Brandon?
Yeah, sure. So I agree. This episode was a breath of fresh air in comparison to the other one, but it's like Brandon said, I don't think when you think about them, they're really not that different from each other. It was, once again, another, we got to stop somewhere and do something. So it was definitely another, side questy thing. Yeah. And I was like, oh boy, I was nervous.
Here we go again. Yeah.
I was really nervous. I was and I even talked to a friend of mine, am I going to be disappointed? Please tell me. And she said, no, it should be much better. But the moment they're yeah, I'll tell you what you want, but you got to do this for me first, I was like, damn it. Just
where
okay.
Have I heard this before?
Yeah, I've only seen that multiple times, but okay. But it's like Brandon said, as someone who really enjoyed the Clone Wars, it was oh, okay, we're going to another place that we've seen before. And then with the original trilogy with the Rancor, that's always nice. And I really enjoyed that Omega didn't run off and get in trouble again. That was nice, and I'm glad that they laid the law down pretty darn quickly in there. Don't run off, because I don't think I could have handled another one of that. Just be really, because again, it's how much is too much, Mm-hmm. And I really liked how excited she got with the comm link. She's like, oh my gosh, a comm link. It's relax. I know you're sheltered, but relax.
Right.
But no, it was good. It was another run-of-the-mill, I'll give you this and you do this for me first, but it was just more enjoyable. I don't know if there was just the action in it wasn't, your last week where it's we've seen this before, where an adult is going to be nice to a child, yada yada yada, and you can predict what's going to happen. Oh, and they also brought up the whole Wrecker's head, being an issue again. So there were little things in there where I was okay, this is much better than last week. But again, I wouldn't say I'm overwhelmed,
Sure. We're on an uphill trajectory right now, though. Yeah. And what I liked about this overall is there was, Brandon mentioned it, there was some Easter eggs and callbacks to the Clone Wars, but for us old guys like Left Coast, there was some callbacks to the original trilogy and stuff like that too, which I thought was pretty cool. And Linda's got a question here. It's more of a he could push a separatist tank off a cliff. He gets knocked out by Finnick's spinny spin thing, and I think Annie can subdue a baby rampaging Rancor. Brandon, do you have a response to that? Because
well, it's when I was younger, I was in Taekwondo, and I was still 6'2", 300 pounds when I was in 7th grade.
Oh,
okay. Wow. And I had a 5'1" girl who was in judo, and she tossed me around like a rag doll. Okay. Oh, so yes, absolutely.
I wouldn't tell too many people that.
No, I know. And Fennec Shand is clearly very, very trained, and it seems like Wrecker does his job well when it's, his area. So going up against a quick, fast, smart opponent rather than a dumb rampaging Rancor or, inanimate object. I've had a couple people ask that, like, why we see Wrecker just destroy stuff. Why was Fennec able to take him down so easily? And it's like, well, because Wrecker's brain is not the strong part of his character.
I think he's not sophisticated, whereas Fennec Shand is a sophisticated fighter. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
Okay. Really quick, we got to say hi to Christian because he's got a sense of humor. He's my long lost 7th brother. Paul, where have you been? Oh my God, I miss you too, Christian. And then JT, I don't want you to think I'm putting you on blast here because I actually thought this as well, but we're going to get to this. It's not the same Rancor, believe it or not. So we will get to that. And then Bailey, any idea who this is? Okay. There you go. Oh, I don't think so. That's an awesome YouTube name. Yeah. And then finally, Scuba Pete. Good to see you, brother.
Scuba.
Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate that. So, Brandon, I'm going to go right back to you on this one. Let's talk about some plot points and stuff like that. They have to pull over at Ord Mantell, which is a callback for both of the eras, to go see this Jedi contact. Can you lead us into that and tell us what's going on and talk a little bit about that, please?
And I can talk about the little Easter eggs from the Clone Wars, the original trilogy, and Legends, if you want me to, with Ord Mantell.
Yeah, you tell me. What pictures I got. Just tell me what.
Yeah. Do you want to pull up the? We'll start with the bounty hunter.
The bounty hunter. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. The one.
Yeah. The yellow guy.
Yep. In Empire Strikes Back, Leia's basically like, well, I thought you were going to stay. And he was like, well, not after that run-in with the bounty hunter on Ord Mantell. And this is the bounty hunter and its score. And there was a comic strip, and then there was also a Legends story. And I forget. Do you have the picture of that one as well? The cover.
The cover of this one you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got those couple different stories that Ord Mantell is mentioned, and it's in Shadows of the Empire because it's where the Black Sun Syndicate is based. So Prince Zizor is based there, and in the Clone Wars we see Ord Mantell mentioned, and I believe we even see it Christian. But it is really cool, and that's why I get excited about things like this, because it's a name drop, and you visit a place that is mentioned not just in one era, but multiple eras. And especially, there was a lot of speculation about that line, like who that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell was. So they are going to Ord Mantell because they are told about a Jedi informant that might know about Fennec Shand. And they show up, and Sid, and there's some stuff with Omega where the other guys don't realize that this is Sid, and Omega. See, I'm even just saying Omega now.
Omega. We just call her Omega.
Omega totally sees through it and is like, hey, you're Sid. And, there are a couple really cool Easter eggs within the bar. Hey, Josh. There are a couple cool little Easter eggs. There's a Loth cat in the bar, and there is a hammerhead species in there. Mm-hmm. And they talk to Sid and get information, but like Bailey said, it's like, yeah, we'll give you the information, but you have to do this for us. And that's where it starts out. And all it.
What jumped into my head? Quid pro quo, Clarice, quid pro quo. I was like, sorry, unrelated reference. Go, Brandon. Sorry.
It's all good. I was going to say Bailey can continue from there. So
yeah, because I tell you, Bailey, he mentioned something, and I want you to continue with where the plot goes from here. But I would like you, if you don't mind, to specifically at some point mention or talk about what the heck is going on here. Do you remember this? Yo, Sid.
Oh, yeah. They go into, this kind of, dive bar, and they're looking for this Sid. And Omega just immediately is like, no, you're Sid. Which again is just a little odd because it brings up that whole force sensitivity issue, mm-hmm. because, people don't do that unless they're, a Jedi or a Sith, and telepathy is a big part of, using the Force. And she just knew that this was the person they were looking for. So that was kind of a head scratcher because, we talked how we're like, oh, I don't think she's, Omega is just smart. Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's hard because it's not like this person's wearing a name tag or anything. So either she's taking a huge risk. What if that wasn't the person? And, I don't know. Once again, just, kid wandering off and, being, right. I don't know, provoking something. But luckily she was right. So, yeah, we talked a lot about how we think her ability is mimicry. Mm-hmm. But this is just very much a Jedi trait where you're able to look at somebody and be like, yeah, I know who you are.
Right.
So
before you move on, Bailey, I just wanted to point out really quick, there's the IG-88 heads again as the bar.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
These are in the cantina, Chalmun's cantina on Tatooine, and they reuse those parts. They're like a Rolls-Royce engine or something, Brandon. They reused them to make IG-88 and IG-11, obviously, just based off of that. But I got a kick out of seeing that, frankly. Yeah. So they find out that this is actually the person they're looking for. She immediately trusts them, even though they're a bunch of rogue clones, and takes them back into her office. And we don't even have time to go through all the cool stuff that was in her office. There was a clone helmet, a Mandalorian helmet, Bantha skin. Yeah. There's the Mudhorn on her desk. Yeah. We could just go on for hours, but basically from there, she's like, I need you to go get this. What ostensibly we think at the time is a little girl. And then I will give you the information you need. I need to look it up anyway. So from there, Brandon, you want to take us on a little journey on what happens from there?
Yeah. So she mentions that the adolescent female is captured by Zygerian slavers, and we see them in the Clone Wars. If you would like to pop that up, there's a whole arc where they deal with themes of slavery. Obi-Wan, I believe it's Obi-Wan that gets captured, and then Rex, Ahsoka, and Anakin go to rescue them. And there are some really, really dark themes in this arc, which is we see a slave jump and kill themselves. Wow. It's super dark because they'd rather be, free than be a slave. And, there's, torture. They
just go there. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, whoa. Okay. But yeah, we see the slavers, and there are Ahsoka's like, hey, we need to kind of do something about this. Like, this is not okay. And basically Anakin and Obi-Wan are kind of like, well, this isn't our place. And, we just have to get the mission, kind of like with Qui-Gon, where he's like, I'm not here to free the slaves. And right. There are a lot of those themes and ideas of slavery and, Anakin, where he goes back to like he's like I can't even pretend to be a slave, so he kind of becomes like the slave master of Ahsoka to try to play it off with the queen. And there's some like really kind of inappropriate flirty stuff between Anakin and the Zygerian queen, but it's a super fun arc and I recommend it. It's dark and there are a lot of there are a lot of things that you can get from it. But it was really cool to see the slavers again, because that's a really cool arc in the Clone Wars. I want to say there's like 4 or 5 episodes where where you see these characters. And so the Bad Batch ends up getting captured, and Omega is like, the kid. So they're like, yeah, you have to stay on the ship. And she's like, oh, bummer. And then she hides on the ship. And then they get caught.
Bummer.
It's it's very much like the kid is gonna have to save the day, and like Bailey said, I was like, oh my god, here we go. Like this, I was like, please don't have this be annoying. And it was super fun the way that they did it and how the Bad Batch needed to be rescued. And it wasn't just like an Omega like kicking ass and taking names and stuff like that. She drops down and they're like, what would you think like you could do? And she's like, well, I unlocked this cage and there's a little Rancor that pops out and absolutely cleans house. So it was pretty entertaining. And I like I said, I feel like this episode did a better job with the action and the callbacks and stuff to make it more entertaining. And it was just so much fun. Whereas the speeder bike chase with Fennec Shand, it was like, okay, Omega's hanging there. We kind of know what to expect. It was like, yeah. And I'll let Bailey talk.
This was a little bit more creative. Bailey, so she actually did what they told her this time and stayed at the ship until she couldn't. What did you think of that? And then, give us some insight on that and then take us through when we start getting this new Rancor.
Yeah. So she does, obey and she stays on the ship, but she had no choice but to leave because the Zygerians were checking their ship. So, if she was seen, obviously they would have captured her and she didn't want that. So she decides to leave and she sees that, the Bad Batch have been captured, and it's like Brandon said, it wasn't like she was exactly like she didn't have that plot armor where she was able to just save the day really well. She does end up getting seen, but the twist in this one is they are going into this with the impression of they're going to save another child like Omega, because there is one there that they spot, but turns out their bounty or their target is the Rancor here, Mochi, one of those. Yeah. And they're like, okay, that's the one we're looking for. And then during this, we're seeing the informant having conversations with who we come to see as Bib Fortuna, which, if you don't know, he's kind of Jabba's right-hand man. And of course, we've seen this creature in Return of the Jedi, and Luke had to face one, but evidently this is not the one. I thought, okay, so this is going to be the creature we see 20 plus years down the line, but that's not the case. So I want to, just to make it short, they do end up, the Rancor does clean house, as Brandon says, and they're able to save the day and get the Rancor back to safety. They get their credits and they leave. That's pretty much it,
All right, thank you. That's been the Bad Batch. We'll see you guys next week. No.
Because it's like, it's another side quest thing. So it's like, they're gonna get out of it somehow, especially when we got another 10 plus episodes, so I know nothing's gonna happen to these people. So I think really the twist is like, it wasn't a child they were looking for, it was this Rancor, which apparently belongs to Jabba, and they do get their information on Fennec as to who she is, but it was just very brief, very quick, and that was it. And that was the episode.
Brandon, So this is the Rancor from Return of the Jedi that we all know and love from 1983. When I was watching this episode, I too was like Bailey. I'm like, oh, so that's where they get the Rancor. And when I was doing my research and getting prepared for this episode, I realized that they have two different names. What's your theory? Are these two separate Rancors, or is this a retcon?
I believe that they're separate characters. They could retcon it, but as soon as they said that it was a female Rancor, I was like, okay, so as of right now, I believe that this is not the same Rancor, because the one that we see on the screen right now is a male. With the Wikipedia and everything, this is listed as a male, and its name is Patissa. But if you look at the translations, which I don't always do, people pointed out that Patissa is could be like a pet name to mean pet.
Sure.
So I don't believe Moochie is the one that gets crushed by the door. Moochie could be this Rancor's mom.
Right.
Moochie could be a relative of this Rancor. Moochie could just be another Rancor that Jabba had. We don't know it could be a revolving door of Rancors at Jabba's palace, just like the dancers and the right-hand men and translator droids seem to get thrown out.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I really hope not. Yeah, I'm tired of this. Let's make the Jedi look bad stuff.
Yeah, your space wizards can do that on their own. They don't need any help, right, Bailey?
And I saw something,
Sure.
and I believe it's I didn't look into the source that much, but it was somebody mentioning that in one of the books, somebody asked Luke about the Rancor, like, why didn't you save it? And he was like, I saw that it was like too tortured and stuff, and that it couldn't be saved. So he basically kind of says that like he helped it by helping put it out of its misery, that it was better to be dead than,
I have not read that. That's an interesting theory, because you never put a second thought to it until you start thinking, he just killed what was ostensibly just a wild animal. But that's a very good point. Brandon, we just went to you, but since we're talking about these things, I'm going to go right back to you here. What did you think of how they handled this? Because somebody brought it up earlier, and I got kind of a chuckle and a kick out of it. But what did you think?
It's totally like dealing with kids. Oh my goodness. You just kind of not swinging and punching at them, but just dealing with them until they tire out. Like, they're like, well, how do we stop a raging Rancor? And Wrecker's like, I'll do it. So he's, fighting the Rancor and climbing all over it. And it was actually a pretty humorous part of the episode. And they're just like swinging at each other, and then they both just kind of pass out. But we did see Wrecker hit his head again, and he's holding the side of his helmet where the chip is, which is also where Crosshair's held when he had his brain zapped. If they don't do something with Wrecker and his chip, it's like, come on now. They keep foreshadowing, and I'll be kind of, if you're gonna throw something in to like make us think about something and then you don't do it, it's kind of rude.
Pull the rug out from underneath. Yeah.
And like, I like to be surprised sometimes, but this is something where like you made the point. It's like something's got to happen with this.
We get it.
Right. So Bailey, this was kind of one of the sillier things that happened this episode, because it was ostensibly dumb brute against dumb brute. What did you think of that? Did that bother you, or did you get a kick out of it?
It was okay. I kind of saw this one coming, and I was like, here we go. They're going to tire each other out. Yep. Here we go. So it was whatever. I mean, I just kind of expect it, especially when we're talking about this character. I'm like, which again, that's another thing that's bothering me, is there's not a whole lot of, these characters aren't being developed. Like, seeing that, I'm like, I know what's going to happen. The big doofus is gonna tire out the other big doofus. Like, it wasn't like I said, the stakes weren't high, so it was okay. I'm sure it was meant to be humorous, and I'm sure kids would get a kick out of it. But to me, I was like, oh, okay, I know what's gonna happen.
Fair enough. So that's it. Nobody wins the fight. They both just tire out, and they just drag them both out of the arena. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth in just a second, but I wanted to point out here, this is in this photo here, you can see while she's running around, with the Bad Batch members because they kind of have to split up because Hunter goes and takes care of the leader, and they send this Wrecker over to go take care of Moochie. She manages to pick up something that we saw earlier in a trailer, so make a mental note of that right now, and then we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes here. So it's interesting to hear your perspective on that, Bailey, because you and I tend to agree a little bit more than Brandon and I do, but I agree with Brandon on this, and it was just kind of silly, and you could just sit there and have an adult beverage and laugh at this. So, but I could totally see your point. There was like, let's just send the two brutes in there and let them finish it up. So I totally get it. Mm-hmm. So they let's talk about this before we get out of because they're in Old Ord Mantell City, and they end up fighting with the Zygerians, and the leader is on one of these things. Brandon, what's this called again, this dragon thing?
I believe it was a Breezak.
Okay. Bailey, have we seen these before?
I don't
or do you know?
Think so. Did we, Brandon? I mean, it's been a while since I've watched that arc of the Clone Wars, so.
Yep. Anakin rides on one or is near one with the Queen. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I miss it? What happened to this thing? I think I forgot. Did it live or did it take off after the Rancor whipped its butt? Do you guys remember?
Oh my God. No, I don't.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think it's still alive now. I was just curious.
Yeah.
We'll just say yes.
Okay, yeah. Even if it is dead, they can retcon it alive again anyway. You guys know
exactly. That could be another one.
So we're up to
show up to save it.
Yeah, there you go. Just give it a metal stomach or something, right? Yeah. So we're up to the point where it's another side mission. Everybody's comparing the show to The Mandalorian because it's so Mandalorian-esque, and I'm trying to overlook that. They get out there. And I'll ask you guys this, yes or no. They caught me off guard. I thought the entire time that little green girl was going to be who they needed to get. And when they said it's this, he goes, no, Moochie at the Rancor. I was genuinely surprised. Did that catch you off guard, Brandon? Did you see that coming?
Yeah. No, it actually caught me off guard because I thought it was going to tie into the Black Sun stuff because the species that who they thought Moochie was, okay, it flew away.
Thanks, JT.
The species that they thought the adolescent girl is a Filoni, which is the species that the Black Sun and Prince Zizor are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I thought they were going to tie it into that, and we were going to get involved with the crime syndicates a little bit, where the crime syndicates were going to go after the Bad Batch because they rescued these characters.
It would have been who hired the bounty hunters and all that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or like a separate group because you've got the Empire, bounty hunters, and the Black Sun now after the Bad Batch. I thought they were going to add another facet. And
the Kaminoans still want them back too. So that'd be
Yeah. So I thought there would be people coming just at all angles. But no, I was actually like, that's kind of fun that the Rancor is who, and it's like, wow, Sid is kind of a jerk. To not,
right, yeah. That's a little, right.
I didn't tell you what the species was you were looking for.
By the way, it's a Rancor. Bailey, did they catch you off guard with that, or did you see it coming in? And if either way, what did you think of it? That little switch.
No, it did catch me off guard, and I'm kind of glad that it wasn't the girl because I didn't want to see another. Oh yeah, here we go. All these dads are gonna save another little kid, and we've only seen that multiple times. So I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad they took it in a different direction because it's like, yes, like Brandon said, I do like to be surprised sometimes. You gotta throw something in there. I like variety because then otherwise, then it would become more predictable. It's like, yes, they're gonna save the kid, and it's gonna be a happy ending. Even though that's kind of how it went anyway, but it was nice. It was refreshing.
At least there was a little twist.
A little twist, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. And I love Left Coast here. Theme. Fennec's stomach was already metal because she's a robot. Boy, I tell you what, if that ends up being accurate, I'm gonna be shocked. That's gonna be awesome. So before she leaves, as I pointed out earlier, she picks up a piece of alien tech that looks like a modified bow and arrow. And we saw this in the trailer. And I wanted to get your guys', it's a minor thing, but I wanted to get your guys' quick opinion on this. This was the trailer version, and of course we didn't get to see her use it. And there's two things in this picture that we now know where she got them. This, and how do you think they handled that one, Brandon? Are you happy with how this is going so far with their arming her up, or would you like to have seen something different?
No, I think it's a good idea. And when I initially saw this trailer, I was like, it makes sense that they're going to give her a comm thing, because then she can communicate with the group. And basically, it's like a tracker for, you know, a kid. It's like chipping a dog or a kid. Well, not chipping a kid, but chipping.
What are they doing at your school, Brandon? Wow.
We chip them.
chipping a dog or keeping track of a kid. Sorry.
There you go.
Those got flipped in my brain.
Yeah.
But when I first saw the bow, I thought it was one of the energy bows that like the Night Brothers and the Night Sisters use on Dathomir. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even make the connection that it's a Zygerian weapon when I initially saw the trailer. And when she picked it up, I was like, oh, okay. And I like that they're arming her in a way that it's not like, hey, we had this extra thing lying around that'll fit a 12-year-old.
Right, yeah. 6-foot long sniper rifle that doesn't even fit the figure, but you can use it. Sure, yeah. Brandon's mad at that figure. Action figure aside, talk. Sorry, Bailey.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Brandon.
Sorry, go. I was gonna say we've already, and Josh mentions a good point. We've already seen her be good with, you know, another weapon, and if, you know, she's got the aim of like crosshairs, she's like a little Katniss. So I think it's you know, it's a fun little thing going on there. And somebody mentioned helmet. Left Ghost mentioned helmet is next.
Helmet's next. Yeah.
it you know, it would be kind of cool if they gave her own little like Bad Batch set of armor, because you're gonna want to protect her. So, and I think they've done a very good job so far with Omega, because she's getting to know some of these characters. I'm still waiting for her to have her connecting moment with Echo. Mm-hmm. But you know, we've seen her have, you know, some tender moments with Hunter and with Wrecker, because Wrecker made her room, and we've already seen her talk to Crosshairs, where it's like, I know you don't want to do this. I know what you're going to do. Please don't. But we haven't seen her talk to Echo or Tech much. Mm-hmm. And I'm waiting for those. I think it would be nice for her to have special moments with each one of them. And where was I going? It just got away from me. Dang it. But and you know, she gets that little stormtrooper toy.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna bring that up.
And then she customized it. She's she worked well in our community as a customizer, but she made it a little Bad Batch figure. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool. And you know, she's really, really having an appreciation for the group that she's part of now. And I think with her, if she got some sort of set of armor or something like that, that it would make those moments even better.
Bailey, how about you offer your thoughts on how they're arming her up, and specifically, if you could touch on a part Brandon just mentioned, would you like to see her get some form of Kinder armor or a helmet or something, or what do you think about that and what's going on here?
I mean, I feel like that would be the right thing to do. Like, if this child is going to be doing these missions with them, she should be armored up, instead of just, you know, like a bow and arrow is only going to protect you from so much. So I think she should be armed up. Now, how that's going to happen, I'm not sure, but they should. I think it does make sense that she would get a comm link so she can communicate. I, like Brandon, I was kind of hoping that this weapon would have been like a Dathomirian one, because that's the only other species we've seen use this one. But that's okay. I was fine with it, you know, her just picking something up. But at the same time, I was like, girl with bow and arrow. We have never seen this before. We have never seen this before in any other story. Very original idea. Give the girl a bow and arrow. Yep. Even then, I think there are just multiple stuff where it's like, and the girl has a bow and arrow. Of course she does. She can have nothing else. Bow and arrow.
Fair enough. I did. For me, I try to stay 4 or 5 steps back from it than you guys. I just got a kick out of the fact that I was like, hey, that's the thing she had in the trailer and the thing, and this is where she found it. I see these things and stuff. So, but yeah, Josh has a good point. I think we're going to see a lot more tech, and especially.
I really hope so.
Yeah, Echo, because they're really underutilizing Echo. I mean, this time they even made him go up on top of the rock and be the eyes again. You know, it's like get up there and out of the frame. So.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm so glad I'm alive for this.
I think Tech and Echo are going to be more important when it comes to the chips. When we get to that point, when they're going to try that, they're going to fix Wrecker's chip. They're going to try to fix Crosshair's chip, and I think that's where those two are going to have a really important role in the story.
Well, you know what? Since we're on that topic, before we move back into Ord Mantell proper, I'd like to ask you that, Brandon. So he hits his head in this fight again, and he's doing this with his head.
Yep.
We're a little early on predictions, but I want a specific prediction about a specific character. What's going to happen with this chip? Is he going to betray somebody? Are they going to get it out? What's going on?
I don't think it's going to be a full out. I don't think the Empire is going to get to the point where they alter his chip. I think something's going to happen. Like maybe he gets one more knock to his head, and then he gets really aggressive towards Omega or the rest of them. For him to get really aggressive and go after someone, it might take a Jedi for him to get aggressive to try to execute Order 66. Where the chip malfunctions, or Crosshairs might have something to do with it. But I honestly don't know what exactly they're going to do. Something's going to happen with the chip. I don't know how exactly they're going to play it out.
Bailey, you got thoughts on that?
I just really hope it doesn't become like an Old Yeller situation where he becomes so aggressive. They're like, we got to take him out. We got to take him out back. That's what I'm hoping will happen. I think because I'm thinking along the same lines as Brandon. It's like something's going to happen and he's going to get really aggressive and they're going to have to do something. And I just really hope it isn't like, I'm sorry, man.
Look at the flowers.
I wouldn't put it past them. To do that.
Oh, like a clone version of the ASPCA where you got to take him in and put him down or something.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They kind of have that Obi-Wan moment where it's like, I will not kill him. He's like my brother. And then it's like, nah, you don't have a choice. You got to kill him.
Okay, so
we'll see.
Brandon has some ideas, and Bailey just doesn't want it to be an Old Yeller tearjerker. All right, I'm good with that.
I hope not.
And I'm sad now.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
Old Yeller, I'm sorry. Yeah. I loved you.
Way to drag the mood down, Bailey.
You know what?
I'm just kidding.
This is Star Wars we're talking about. There's tragedy written all over it.
Oh, man. Tell me about it. So anyway, they managed to, Wrecker manages to tire out the child Rancor. They release the hostages or the slaves. She gets her new stuff, and they head back into town. And Brandon, do you want to, Bailey kind of gave us an overview really quick back there. Do you want to get into some specifics and the main couple of callbacks that we saw from Return of the Jedi when we got back?
Yeah, so Bib Fortuna and 2 Gamorrean guards walk in, and they're like, hey, where's the kid? And they're like, Jabba will be very upset. And he's like, they're going to be here soon. And then the Rancor roars, makes a little noise, and they're all like, ooh, Moochie. And they go out and greet Moochie. And then from there, it's
Josh.
Josh, that's amazing. Yeah, buddy. We're going to have rabbits.
There's another theory really quick. Crosshair is going to have to take out Wrecker to save Omega. I'm not sure if that's worse or not. Oh, my God.
Oh, that would suck.
But anyway, so I'm sorry, Brandon, go.
It's all good. When stuff like that pops up, it's important.
You got to look at it.
It's important.
Yeah. And
it's very important.
Left Coast mentioned earlier that the Gamorrean guards were a really fun part of this episode. And when the hologram happened earlier in the episode and I saw the hand, I was like, wow, that's Bib Fortuna.
Bib.
I was like, some bounty hunter or Jabba the Hutt is going to get involved. And I'm trying to think at the timing of the episode if we knew that it was the Rancor yet at this point.
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I was really excited because anytime they, I'm a big supporter of make Solo 2 happen in some capacity, and they keep doing stuff around Jabba's palace, and the Book of Boba Fett is going to Jabba's palace, and at the end of Solo, they're like, hey, we've got a, there's this job by a big time gangster, and it's they made a full set for the Book of Boba Fett. And when I see stuff like this, it gets me really excited because it's like, yeah, they're talking about Jabba's palace. And this was just a great way to do it, I think. And we've mentioned before that when we see Easter eggs and cameos like this, we want it to be in a meaningful way. And I wasn't like, oh, why are they bringing up Jabba, or why is Bib Fortuna here? It was actually a really creative, fun way to bring up a Rancor and to bring those characters into this series.
You know what? So you expounded. I was going to ask you what you thought about that, but you segued into it beautifully. Bailey, as a fan of the original trilogy like me, what did you think of how they handled Bib Fortuna and what they did here?
Oh, I loved it. And I am a huge fan of anytime they bring ties from either trilogy into something new. I love that. Because, George has said it, Star Wars rhymes, and, you're supposed to have stuff like this where you're supposed to see stuff from other things. And I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's stuff like that that gets me really excited when I watch something new. It's like, oh, yeah, that's from Return of the Jedi, or, Attack of the Clones, or no, I thought it was great. I think it's good. They should do stuff like this.
Perfect. Because like you two, then, thank goodness, I actually liked the way they handled it when Bib Fortuna came in. I was like, hey, this is cool. And they didn't feel shoehorned. It's a little weak, but it would have, but it still, it worked well for me, and I thought it was great. So I'm glad to hear you guys did as well. We're going to take a break here very briefly, guys, and do a little housekeeping like I like to do before we get on to the good and the bad and stuff like that. For those of you in the chat, I greatly appreciate you joining us. We're getting some great comments, and this show is a lot more fun when everybody participates. So thank you very much. But this has been the Bad Batch Breakdown, episode 5 with Brandon and Bailey. We're here every Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, breaking down the latest episode of the Bad Batch animated series on Disney Plus. So thank you for joining us. And if you're watching us on the rewind, thank you so much too. I greatly appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, please put those down below, because if you watch the beginning of this episode, I like to come out swinging at Brandon and Bailey with some info, especially info that doesn't agree with what they thought or said, so they can comment on that. So thanks everybody for joining us up to this point. With that, guys, I wanted to ask one quick question, and then we're going to move on to actually two quick questions, and then we'll move on to the good and what we thought was bad about this episode. Brandon, to you, there's a white Mandalorian helmet hanging in the contact's office. What's going on with that?
I think it's a really, really fun callback to the prototype Boba Fett.
Okay.
I wonder how they're going to work it in if, we see a white set of armor somewhere. I'm trying to think in like the current canon of it all. The white Mandalorian helmets are worn by Sabine Wren's family in parts of Rebels.
Okay.
Like her brother Tristan, I believe, wears a white set.
Were those were the Imperial loyalists, as I recall, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But the helmet was slightly different. It actually looked like the Ralph McQuarrie Boba Fett. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this one, although it looked like a regular Mandalorian, it's white, so it might be some sort of crossover or something, you think?
Because this is before that.
Mm-hmm.
The Rebels would be after this in point of time. So yes, I think we're seeing it's nice. There's another helmet that's slowly evolving for you to collect, Paul.
I'm glad these are saved on the internet, because I can play it back to my wife when she wants to know where I got the idea, Brandon.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Remember,
Bailey,
this lady has guns, so.
Yeah. Bailey, you saw that white helmet hanging on the wall as well. Did you have any thoughts on what that might be, or where it's from, or what it may signify?
No, I just was like, oh, that's a really cool looking helmet. That's
Yeah,
literally
okay.
it.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's obviously a Hasbro Black Series, you guys. Come on. Which I bring that up, JT, and for you two guys, because when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's the prototype helmet from Hasbro that they just released. I wonder if there's like they're trying to do product tie-ins or something like that now to make it canon. So that was awesome. Oh, smuggling Christian, do the math. Add 8 hours. Just kidding, brother. We love you. So with that, we're going to move on to my the next part of the show. I always like to talk about the good and the bad. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if it's because it's like being valedictorian of summer school or they just did a better job on this episode after the last one. But I liked it a little bit more. And the other question I was going to ask you guys really fast, I want to do this now. Just this episode and just this episode only. 1 to 10, Brandon, where you at?
8.
8, nice. Bailey?
I'd say like a 5 or a 6. Like it was
5 or 6?
good.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like, like I said, it was another side quest mission. And as much as I enjoyed the callbacks and the action, it was still like, I'm not overwhelmed. So it was like, it was okay. It was better than last week.
So 5.5.
Yeah.
And definitely not a 2.
Definitely not a 2. No, that's bad.
Okay. So while we're about to go into the good and the bad, I'd love to see in the comments, everybody that's with us right now, give us your number 1 to 10, what you thought of this specific episode so far. And I didn't bring that up, Left Coast, because the other clone helmets, since she was a collaborator with the Jedi, that kind of made sense to me. I thought maybe they were gifts or something. I just wanted to specifically hear about that Mandalorian helmet. And there is our buddy Chris just stopping by, and he's 100% in Bailey's camp. It's a side quest, the television series.
I love getting that validation of like, you know what? Maybe Bailey isn't so crazy after all. Because I've said it in the beginning, and I will say it again.
It really is reminiscent of the Mandalorian. So hopefully they start to diverge off of that. You guys,
you have no idea. Like I get comments from people where they're like, "Oh my gosh, you were so right about that," and I'm like, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Brandon, don't say it, Brandon, because I'm not going to say it either. Okay.
No, and I would just say that I've seen some people arguing that, they're like, well, why are you upset about this? You like the Mandalorian, and it's like, right, we like the Mandalorian. Right. We don't want to see it again.
Yep.
Yeah, and for me, we've been over this for my old butt. You're already having to get over a hump with animation with me anyway, because I'm just not as invested. So I give them a little bit of rope on the live action stuff because it's just the live action's more interesting. So Left Coast.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll get there. I saw that too. Gary says 4 to 5. He's with you, Bailey. Fair enough. I think I would have gone a little higher. I probably would have gone a 7.5, just because I liked some of the twists in the callback. Moku's at an 8. There you go, Brandon. We got Gilster over here at a solid 6. That's within the range I think we're at. But Bailey, I don't know if what you teach at school. Oh yeah, but you guys that are in education, I'm going to need you to do the conversion for me. What's 7 Canadian in American?
9.2.
I didn't know there was a difference.
So Left Coast, you're at a 9.2 American. Got it. Okay.
Unless it's the other way, conversion, and it's like a 5.7.
Okay, fair enough. Canadian. You gotta love Left Coast. It's always interesting. And then there's Josh, 7. Okay. And Josh is one of those, and there's JT with a 6 out of 10. So nobody is where we were last time, where they were like 2s and 3s and 4s. Everybody's at 50% or above, leaning towards the 7 to 8 mark. So a much better episode overall, a little bit more interesting. Yeah, there's Linda with her a 7 as well. So that's about where I'm at, a 7. Felt a little formulaic, but they shocked me a couple of times. That last episode, I sat there and I was like, and now that dude's gonna, and now she's gonna, and now that's so. Well, good. That's good. So we're on, like I said, an uphill slant. So with that, Brandon, we're going to start with you, sir. Overall, what did they do good this time?
Tying it into all the different references and from all the different eras. You've got the Clone Wars, you've got the original trilogy, and you've got Legends all mentioned. You've got stuff from the animated series, you've got stuff from the original movies, and you've got stuff from the Legends books. So there's something for each one of the fans. There's stuff from Shadows of the Empire, little callbacks to species and the area, and then with the Zygerians with the Clone Wars. and then talking about Ord Mantell from, Empire Strikes Back. I thought they did a very good job. It was fun to see an adolescent Rancor. And it did surprise me that the Filoni wasn't the child that they were looking for. It was a Rancor, because you don't see the Rancor until Omega's like, I pulled this pin, and then it bursts a pin. Yeah, you can see there's a chain rattling, but from watching it, and I watched it 2 times, I didn't recall seeing like a claw or a leg or anything like that. It was just the chain dangling down. So it was like, oh geez, what kind of creature is this going to be? And then when it burst out, it was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I thought they did a better job with the action with it. It wasn't so predictable.
Formulaic.
Yes.
It wasn't the typical action chase or even the typical rescue scene. And I thought it was very fun. So yeah, that's what I thought they did well.
Good. Bailey, how about you, man? What did they do well? What pleased you in this episode?
Honestly, the same exact things Brandon has said. I love the callbacks and the tie-ins to everything, especially when they pick something from Legends. Like, I enjoy that a lot because, I read that stuff too. So it's always fun when you notice things. And I think that's what makes Star Wars so fun, is when you do get new content, when they do tie it into something that's already been done. I enjoy that a lot. And that was it. Everything else was pretty formulaic for me, but I do like callbacks.
I agree with you guys. My favorite part about this was something from Clone Wars, something from some of the novels, and something from the OT trilogy, which just makes us old guys happy and stuff like that. So I got a much bigger kick out of this episode than the last one. All right. So with that, Bailey, we'll start with you this time. What do you think they could have improved on this episode, ma'am?
I feel like, last week Brandon said that it feels like we're in a stalled car. And this one, I'm like, I feel like we're kind of like revving our engines, but we're still not going anywhere. Like, we're getting like, the plot is moving like, eek, 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 like we're scooting through the story, because after the side quest, oh yeah, Fennec Shand, blah, 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 blah. And then they're on their way. So it's like, right. Okay, so the story doesn't really go anywhere. It was something we've seen plenty of times before, despite, all the callbacks. We've seen plenty of search and rescue. I'll give you this if you do this for me. We've seen that over and over and over again. And I was going into it hoping for something a little different, especially with how lackluster the last one is. And this wasn't bad, but I was like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is like night and day. No, it was just, something we've seen before. It feels very much like a video game. And then, again, these characters aren't being developed. I know people say like, yeah, things are happening for character development, but these Bad Batch characters, they don't really stick with me. They still don't really stick with me a whole lot, because I feel like they don't really have a personality that's like outside their name. We still don't know a lot about them. I'm getting, tired of Echo being sidelined, or like, he might say 1 or 2 lines, and then you can't help but think like, what was the point of rescuing him or bringing him back? As, Brandon had said in the Clone Wars, it was a big deal when they rescued this guy. Right. But with this show, we're 5 episodes in, and he doesn't do a whole lot. They're just he's kind of like a convenience to them. Like, oh, you look like a robot, so we're going to pretend you're a droid to get what we need. And, we're going to have you look out. So that is getting exhausting to me, because it's like, okay, then what was the point of bringing this poor guy back? If you're not going to do anything with him, why is he just being dragged along for convenience? So yeah, I feel like we're still stalling a little bit. We're just getting little bits of information each week. So I want them to start picking up the pace. I really hope next week it's not just a side quest. I hope we go back to seeing like what Crosshair's up to, those elite troopers. Right. I want to see, like I'm just tired of this. Oh, we're going to stop at this planet. We're going to do something real fast, and then we got to go. Because, and I'm just thinking, like, other shows that I watch, it's like, even like slow shows don't move this slow. Like, you might get a lull, 1 or 2 episodes, but we're like at 3, 4, and it's like, let's pick up the pace. Come on. Like, I still couldn't tell somebody what the plot of this show is. It's besides the usual, like, it's very much like The Mandalorian. There's no there's nothing distinguishing about this show yet, because again, I feel like we're just like, each week we're like revving our engine and we're not going anywhere. So that's it. I think they just need to pick up the pace a little bit and show us something different.
Fair enough. Brandon, what do you think they could have improved on this episode?
The start of it didn't give me high hopes. Besides the references, where it was like, oh, cool, they're going to Ord Mantell, and then when they mentioned the Zygerians, but it was very much like they're going to stop here, get information, they're going to have to do something to get it. I was like, oh boy, hopefully they, and then they did and then they did something entertaining with it. And I know that those are like, the stories, that's a way to do storytelling, but with how big the Star Wars universe is and all the characters and all the stuff that they can use, they can do things a little bit more creatively. Sure. And I know it is, you look back on the Clone Wars and how loved that is now. I know friends of mine who stopped watching it because they're like, it's just so formulaic, and it's just like, this little episode and this little episode. And it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be like a chronicle anthology thing where there's these different missions. Everything good?
Brandon, move to your left a little bit, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop the show for a second and congratulate Brandon on his first DTOF. I just noticed. Look at you with your helmet displayed back there. Good for you. Right. Yeah. I just noticed that back there. Good for you, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just caught that. And I was like, oh, that's good.
I was thinking, like, is there someone behind him?
I was like, did you find the spider?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to you, brother. But your door is opening right now, just so you know. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, but it looks good. Good for you, man. I'm sorry. I just got off sidetracked there.
No, it's all good. It's a little bit crooked.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, helmets and food. My wife knows how to get to me. So when I saw the helmets, I was like, yeah, all right, cool. So Clone Wars was a little formulaic and your friends left. And
yeah. And, I like I said, some people have been like, well, you like The Mandalorian. Why don't you see you, Josh? Thanks for stopping in. I feel like I have to give it time because right now, kind of like Bailey said, it's like, okay, we've got these episodes so far and it's still kind of like, what exactly is the point? Like, what exactly are we building up to? And I mean, some episodes of The Mandalorian were like that, where it's like very, very similar to The Bad Batch and Mandalorian. The first episode, it was like, oh my goodness, this is a great episode. And oh my God, look, a baby Yoda. Yeah. And then from there, it was basically like, well, where'd this kid come from? And we kind of need to keep this kid safe, which is exactly what's happening. And then there's, and then the Moff Gideon stuff. So I don't want it to run so closely with The Mandalorian when it comes to the way that they find stuff out. But we will get to a point where, like, okay, that's why they did this. And they do have it planned out. It's just, when there are these lulls, it would be nice to have it be more creative. And that's each episode, I would say that's my main critique so far, except the first 1, 2, is the other ones. It's like they crash landed on the moon and there's a bounty hunter tracking him down and there's an action scene and they have to go fetch something to get some information. And besides last week's episode, I have loved watching each one multiple times. And I will go back and look to see if there's any Easter eggs I caught, because there's got to be something I missed. I really like the IG-88 heads in the bar and, some of the stuff on the desk. And I was just like, oh, that looks like a Mudhorn horn. And that's where I think they're doing the good. And the bad so far is just how they're handling the lulls between the big things that are happening.
Yeah, I think you guys hit it right on the head. And you said something that, like, hit me right in the chest, Brandon. If I know we're going to have lulls, but let's make them more creative. I shouldn't be able to predict the whole episode for the most part. So you're absolutely correct. Really quick, collecting Star Wars. If we're your favorite live stream, I greatly appreciate that. You got here. Yeah, he got here a little late, but you can always catch us on the rewind. I hope you take that opportunity. And then, of course, there you go, Bailey. Bring on Crosshair and the Elite Trooper Squad. Let's get back into these guys. Yes. Where are we at? Yeah. And then Gary Moore.
The interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that was the stuff that made me go, oh, yeah, like I want to see that. And we haven't seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of surprised. I thought we were going back to them by now, but nothing. Kind of shocking, actually. Gary said something interesting. It'd be good if we had longer play episode, and that kind of harkens back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this. Maybe we could have just jammed this into a 4 to 6 hours or something, but make a movie out of it or something, right? Let me make sure I'm getting everybody here. Gilster. I think these stories were written during Rise of Skywalker. It takes time to compute. That's a good question. Do we have any idea on the timeline or when these stories were written, guys? No, they haven't told us that, have they?
No, but it's these shows we're getting are definitely have been in the works for a long time, but they'll never tell you like how long.
Oh, yeah. Brendan, you about to say something?
No, I just know that with, the Bad Batch was part of the unreleased episodes for the Clone Wars, the unfinished episodes where it was the concept episodes. And so Filoni has had these ideas in his head for a long time with these characters. And I don't know how long, and that's something that it always interests me. So I hope we get like a documentary about the Bad Batch at some point, or like an art of where they do some concept drawings, and usually they put a date in the concept drawings and we might get a clue in one of the drawings of when they were developing certain characters. And behind the scenes stuff for Star Wars and any franchise are some of my favorite things, because you can see the way that they progressed and some of the ideas. And you look back on it and there were things where it's like, wow, George Lucas was really going to do that with the original trilogy. But then somebody told him, hey, let's change this up. So I'm interested to see what some of the initial designs and plans were for the Bad Batch characters.
And I will tell you, in my research today, putting together this episode, I read one place, which means I don't take it to heart yet, but where somebody said they had quoted Dave Filoni as saying that this was not his idea at all. A special force of clone troopers came right out of George Lucas's head, and that was all George Lucas. Bailey, do you want to opine on that? Have you heard that? What do you think about that?
I literally saw something today that said that, and I was honestly shocked. I was shocked because I never thought. I think it's great that, it came from George's head, so they're honoring his ideas and, they're giving him that space still to give ideas. But I was just really shocked that that would come from George's head, because, I don't know, this just screams Filoni to me in terms of, like, his creation. So, again, but I've only seen it from one source. So it's like you said, like, we don't know if that's, a for sure thing, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised this would come out of George's head.
I know.
Go, Brandon. Go. Don't go.
I was going to say, I know that they obviously did the Republic Commandos video game and books and comic stuff. It always makes you wonder how much those authors were inspired by, maybe that George Lucas idea of having those special troopers. And you see it where why does that stormtrooper have a pauldron? Why is this one in a different set of armor? So the groundwork is there for, Lucas to say, well, there's these special troopers. So I think that's interesting, but for Dave to say that it's 100% George Lucas, it's weird to me, because he set up the arc, like Filoni helped create the arc troopers and all that stuff, and develop those characters into the characters that we know now. So it's interesting. And that's something that I wanted to say about the development of the Bad Batch is at times it feels like they're like, oh, well, we don't have enough time to develop these characters in a single episode. And it's like, well, you had time to develop all of the characters in the Clone Wars to where we like Echo so much. And now that we've got Echo again, they're not doing enough with him. But
yeah. So I'd like to do a percentage on this one. Left Coast is asking, do you think we'll get a time jump in this season specifically? Percentage chance, 1 to 100%. Are we getting a time jump, Bailey?
I'm saying 0. I think
Brandon,
we're gonna
go, Bailey.
Oh no, I'm done.
Are you sure?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I lost it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. Brandon, 1 to 100%.
I'd say 10%. With, I'm never going to rule anything out, but with the way it's set up with the Empire, and I mean, Sid even mentioned it, like, with a bounty hunter like this on your tail, you're going to have to be careful.
One of your friends.
So at this point, you've got the Kaminoans, you've got the Empire, you've got
the bounty
hunters, and we still don't know who exactly Fennec Shand is working with or for. So it could be multiple bounty hunters. They mentioned the guild when they were talking about Fennec Shand. So it's like, how many are we going to see? A tracking fob? Are we going to see, how many people are we going to see go after the Bad Batch at this point? So I don't think there's room for a time jump in this. If they do end up doing some sort of second series with this, which I don't see them doing, because 16 episodes for this, especially with what we've seen so far, is a lot. Like there's unless things go like boom, 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 if things stay at the pace that it's at now, there might be room for a second series. But I think this,
we get one day each episode,
but I think it was supposed to be a limited series. And I haven't seen whether or not they've confirmed that, but I think the Bad Batch is going to be an isolated one season type thing, because I'm guessing it's going to finish up with an event, much like when we watched Rogue One and then we're sitting there and it's like, oh, this is leading right into New Hope. I think something's going to happen with that, with the Bad Batch, where it leads into, and we might not even realize it when it happens, but it might lead into Andor, or we might see something with Kenobi, and I know Kenobi happens in the future, but we might see a little treat nugget thrown out for us.
Sure. Bailey, specifically to that point, I cut you off earlier, and I apologize for that. But on the time jump thing, you're at a 0%. You think we're going to stick just in this one season, and that's it, right?
I think so. Yeah, just because of the way it's set up, and I think the intention is to see that gradual build of the Empire. But then again, I can't argue with what Brandon's saying. Anything is possible with these shows. So maybe, but I seriously doubt it. Especially with 16 episodes, and since we're going at a relatively slow pace, I just don't really see that happening. And there would have to be a good enough reason for that time jump to happen. And, and I'm not sure if this show is even going to lead into any future projects. I know we like to think that everything's going to tie in, but I don't know, something tells me that this is just going to be its own standalone story. Maybe it will connect to something, but I don't know. I just don't see that time jump happening.
Yeah, fair enough. And Left Coast asks, a young Grief. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to weigh in on this one. Grief is a Mandalorian character. He's a pretty big character over there as far as the series revolving around him. And of all the characters we have, I just don't think they're going to shoehorn in a young Grief into this. You guys think I'm crazy on that?
No. I mean, they did mention the Guild and Fennec, so I'm not going to rule it out, but I don't. There need to be a good reason, like we mentioned.
Right. Yeah, it was a direct commission too, which means the Guild was contacted, and then the Guild sent the bounty hunter, and the Guild now has nothing to do with it. So I don't think there's a reason to have Grief in here at all. So Bailey, am I nuts?
No, I'm with you 100% there. Yeah, because you don't want to force things either. It needs to feel like a natural, like organic way of bringing back certain cameos. And I don't know, the way that the story is going, it just seems extremely isolated to these group of people. So it would only make sense for, seeing characters like Fennec Shand, maybe Boba Fett, because the now we're starting to see, okay, there's multiple people after this group, but I just have a real hard time seeing, like, there would have to be a really good reason to bring that character in, and I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I love Carl Weathers, and it's a great character, but I just don't think it's enough of a exciting character or an important enough character to try to shoehorn into this. I would agree with you. Baylor, we're going to stick with you just a second here. Specific to the next episode, or maybe the next two, where are we going? What's going to happen? What are you looking to see happen?
I really hope we do something with Rucker's head or chip. I really hope because I'm with Brandon and that I don't want to see like 5 episodes of him going, oh, my head. It's like, okay, like, right. We're not stupid. So it's like, okay, you've told us this a couple of times now. I hope we do something with that. I hope we go back to like the elite troopers and Crosshair and like the Empire. I hope we see more of that. And I just really hope we start to see like a plot, because like I said, right. I honestly couldn't tell anybody. Like if someone was like, what's the show about? I would tell them right now. It's like The Mandalorian, but with this group of people. So I really hope we see some distinguishing elements in the next one. And I really hope that they do something more with Echo's character, because I know, like, in general, fans like Brandon and I were like, this guy is just being lugged around, and it's like, well, why is he even involved? What was the point of rescuing him if he's just going to be, a convenience? So I hope we start picking up the pace. I want to see something new. I don't want to see a side quest. I really don't. And if they do one in the future, that's fine. But I personally would like a break from that. Yeah, I want to see more creativity going on, because otherwise I'm going to get frustrated, because then it'll be like, all right, now I have sat through like 5 episodes of this nonsense and I'm getting tired. Then right. Again, I have to pose that question, how much is too much? Like, right. How long do I have to wait for something to happen? So yeah, we need to pick up the pace.
Fair enough. Brandon, specific to the next couple of episodes, what are you looking to see? What are you predicting?
I really don't know. And that's what I like about it, is they haven't completely laid it out to where it's like, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen next. They could go and, each week we're like, let's see Rex. Let's see something with that. Let's see something with the elite squad troopers. And then it's like, it's a side mission. So, at this point I'm saying, hopefully it's the show.
Yeah.
And it is totally the dad batch right now. And hopefully it'll pay off, and we'll look back and we'll say, yeah, we see why they did it. But my thing is, they could be doing it a little bit better. And I am still sticking to my guns, saying that we will see Commander Cody at some point, with now that we know Rex. I don't know. I'm also thinking we will see at least 1 or 2 of the other bounty hunters in the lineup in Empire Strikes Back. So I'm guessing we'll see a Bosk or an IG-88 or something like that appear within the next couple of episodes, also hunting them down. Because I know they said it was a direct commission with Fennec, but Fennec is they make it seem like she's working for someone important, or working with or for. And I think we've all I just recently got the War of the Bounty Hunters comic, and the original trilogy made it seem like, oh yeah, that was pretty much Boba Fett's job. Like, he was the one who helped track Vader. They helped each other, but he was the one to bring Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. Well, then, yes.
Yes.
But now they're exploring this time period where Boba Fett is having these other bounty hunters basically trying to steal Han Solo for him to bring Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. And, that's not out of the realm of possibilities here, that one of these bounty hunters hears about the special clone force that Fennec Shand is supposed to be tracking them down, and they're trying to get try to get some money out of it too. And I think that would be a good way of bringing in a young Boba Fett, an Aura Singh, a Bosk, an IG-88. So, yeah, I'm still thinking that we're going to see a couple of those characters within the next couple of episodes.
I don't think either of you are crazy one bit. Collecting Star Wars weighs in on this a little bit here. Records of ticking time bomb. That chip's going to go off when the story reaches the worst possible time for our heroes. What do you think about that, Bailey?
Oh, I think that would be a classic Star Wars move that tends to happen. Things go wrong at the most inconvenient time. Anakin turning to the dark side right when they thought, oh, we just got to kill Grievous and this is all over. Nope. So, it's a very Star Wars move where it's going to just happen at the worst possible time. Same with Vader revealing who he is to Luke, and he's beaten and whatnot. So I would agree. I would agree with Collecting Star Wars. Whatever happens, it's going to just not be convenient. Brandon?
Yeah, and the thing that I've been thinking about more is, even if the chip does go, unless something absolutely goes wrong with the chip and it just destroys his brain, what would be the order that he is carrying out if it does? The chip is not going to have him just go after Omega, because that's not programmed in. So unless there's some sort of order given out again, or a specific order directed to him through maybe the elite squad troopers, that's just where I'm kind of wondering is, what would be the point if it just flips a switch and he goes kind of crazy? What would make him go crazy if the chip just malfunctions? What would be the reason he would go after Omega or the rest of the Bad Batch?
All right. Be interesting to see what they do with that, if they do anything at all, and hopefully they don't leave us hanging. That's for sure. So I think we hit the plot pretty good, you guys. We got some overall impressions. We did the good and the bad. I'm going to do my little housekeeping thing here really quick. Once again, as always, if you've joined us tonight, and especially if you started at the beginning with us, we greatly appreciate it. The comments, as always, have been great tonight. Have really helped me kind of steer the conversation with these guys, because I come in with an idea of where I want to take them, and then I get some great ideas in the conversation. But you've been watching the Bad Batch breakdown with Brandon and Bailey, and we're here at 6 p.m. on... Bailey, you all right? Bailey's allergic to stupidity, so every time I talk, she starts sneezing.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
that tends to happen here in Arizona. You're just minding your own business, and then allergies attack.
Yeah, I'm dying right now. But speaking of Arizona, we're on Pacific time right now because we don't have daylight saving time here. So we're coming at you right now at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you're watching us on the rewind, thank you so much. As always, please feel free to put some comments down below, questions if you have any, and we will always bring them up in the next stream. With that, guys, I think we pretty much hit everything. Did I miss anything, Brandon? Anything else you needed to get out, or you thought about this episode before I start winding us down?
There was a question from Collecting Star Wars that I just wanted to mention. Are you familiar with Scar Squadron from the comics? You're not the first person to mention that comic line, and I do have Marvel Unlimited, so I will be going in, because it's interesting when these stories were written, because they're called Task Force 99, which is clearly, it's like the Clone Batch 99 or the Experimental Force 99. So sure. I will definitely, over the next 2 days, because thank God I don't have to go to work on Monday. I will take the time and look at some of those comics. It's in the Star Wars main line. It's in like the 20 comics, and it looks like they are a similar group to the Bad Batch. So it's interesting to see if the Elite Squad troopers are, you know, some of the ideas are taken from that comic, because as we've seen, the comics tend to be put on the back burner, and some of the ideas are taken out of those for the animation in the movies and stuff like that.
That'll be interesting to see. Yeah, absolutely. Bailey, how about you? Anything I missed? Anything you want to get in before I start winding us down?
No, I think we've. Sorry, guys. I think my body is like,
Don't be
you're done
emotional.
talking.
Yeah, I was like, don't cry, Bailey. It'll be okay.
It will be okay. Yeah, you guys can't tell from the ring light, but I'm like tearing up and everything. So I think we're good, just because clearly I can't speak anymore.
Your voice has decided you're done, is it not?
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Well, you made it, and I'm proud of you, because it is a living nightmare in Arizona right now as far as that. And just, I think we'll go out with this. Gilster lived over by Yuma. Yeah, and I love you, Gil, but I think it might be time to take one of those psychological tests, my brother, because it's Bailey and I cannot wait to get out of this state when we get a chance. So, well, good. You know what? Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, it's starting to get nice and hot. But anyway, Brandon's sick of hearing about us complaining about Arizona, so we'll start wrapping it up. As always, you guys, it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad we had a little bit more to talk about this time, specifically something more positive, because that last episode, man, I'm not gonna lie, I went back and watched it just because I like to, you know, see how I can improve things, and it was excruciating. Not our performance, just us, me, you guys. Desperately trying to come up with something. And Brandon, I just literally, and I just wanted to reach to the camera and hug you, because you were doing your best to stay positive. So you guys are awesome, and it's been a lot of fun. We will be here, like I said, 6 p.m. next Saturday after the next episode of Bad Batch. It's been great to see all of you in the comments and joining us. So we have had a blast. But with that, as always, you guys know how we end episodes on Paul's Collectibles. We will see you on the next episode.